Hello. I'm got my shirt half undone. That's not because I'm trying to look sexy or anything. It's just incredibly hot here. It's as hot as India, whereas the sun. Speaking of which, today we're doing another in the series on the Bhagavad Gita. And in today's video we begin chapter 4, which is the yoga of discerning wisdom, jnana. And we're doing verses 1, 2, and 3. So, the Blessed One said, I taught this yoga to the sun, Vivashvan, and he taught Manu, the father of humanity. Manu then taught it to King Ikshvaku. Thus, one after the other received this teaching, understood by kings. But in time, this knowledge of the great yoga became scattered, defeater of your enemies. This very same ancient-most yoga, I am speaking to you today. You are my devotee. You are my friend also. Thus, this mystery is transcendental. So, that seems like pretty much just an introduction, right? But there's a number of important little themes inside it. For the start, what he's talking about here is the formula of mysticism, of mystical practice, right? Yoga in this case, but it could be, you could call it something else, right? It's been taught by enlightened people since the beginning of human history. And its essence is one and the same across all cultures, across all times. And that sameness goes through this kind of line of succession of different teachers that emerge to restore the essence of the teaching from one generation to another, from one place to another. So it says, one after another received this teaching, understood by kings. And this reminds me somewhat in the I Ching of how the term of the king can apply to mean, an external ruler, or it can apply to mean the superior individual, the higher self. And here, that's the essence of it's a double entendre, right? That if you have reached a place of understanding in this yoga, you become kingly, not kingly in the temporal sense, like Arjuna was a king, but kingly in the transcendental sense, that you have mastered reality, you have mastered truth. But in time, this knowledge gets scattered, right? The knowledge of this yoga. And the reason for that is that as time goes on and cultures shift and situations change, and the outward expression of that essence also has to change. Usually when a teacher dies, his teaching first gets calcified into let's make it like the teacher said and not change it, and then eventually deformed. It slowly becomes warped as over time it's changed anyways, or it changes by necessity in context of the culture where it's in. So that sooner or later, any teaching that doesn't vanish completely gets turned instead into a cargo cult, a mockery of the essential teaching, what we call religions. So Krishna here is talking about how this essence of yoga comes from the sun, from the inner. It was taught by the transcendental to the sun. The sun is the symbol of enlightenment, the symbol of the attainment of the higher self, or of the superior individual. And then below that it descends to Manu. Manu is where we get the word man from. Manu was the father of humanity in the Indian mythology. So you see this succession of the highest, the spiritual, you could say, then the cosmological, the sun, and then man. And the essence, I think, of the third verse here, Krishna is saying, this very same ancient most yoga I am speaking to today. What you are learning when you engage in a practice from a spiritual teacher is an essential thing, not in the sense of essential like important, but in the sense of that essence that has been with humanity from the beginning of the point in which human beings could call themselves human beings. I would define the beginning of humanity as being the moment that there was one proto-hominid that became awakened, that became fully conscious. And then everything else, the great work, has been this process of human spiritual evolution from that point onward. So there is a transmission of this same essence, the same formula. It's never really changed throughout history, but the application, the way to do it, the teaching of it has changed and has to change in every generation. There's no real value in an ancient most method. There's a value in the ancient most yoga, the ancient most union. Remember, yoga means union. The essence of the teaching. That is ancient most. That can never be something else. If it's something else, then it's not actually going to function for what you are hoping to achieve. But at the same time, because the knowledge has become scattered, because it's become deformed, it has to be reformed every time by a new teacher in a new context with a new light. So that's everything for today. If you like this video, please feel free to share it, to pass it on in your social media. And if you're interested in participating in a spiritual system and spiritual teaching, please take a look at the Yifa Society, at the playlist here in the YouTube channel or at the Yifa blog. And if you want to get involved in a teaching of meditation and self-cultivation, please get in touch. Thank you very much.